There's a lot of things to talk about after the Canadian Grand Prix. We finally have some Mercedes drama, we had the McLaren gamble, we got a Lewis and Max podium, and Kimi beating a lot more records. So let's get into it. Okay, so the first talking point is probably Mercedes. So the racing between George and Kimi was amazing until it ended. They were always 1 second to each other. There was never a big gap between them, and that was just amazing to see. And the drama comes from the incident in that last chicane. Both of them basically drove a little bit too fast and tried to defend and attack a little bit too aggressively, so they both went off track, and Kimi didn't really like that from what we heard. I don't think George Russell liked it either, but we didn't hear his radio message. Kimi thought that he left enough space and he was ahead. This could be like the tension starting between them. I think that would be very interesting to see, because it feels like they are both two nice guys on track. They can definitely get some tension between each other, so I think that would be interesting to see. I feel like we kind of need that, a little bit of a drama kick from them, I guess. So that is kind of what I'm hoping for. I don't hope for them being dangerous or crashing too hard, but to have this tension and this drama is very interesting and exciting. So I think this kind of championship battle is a very good thing. And yeah, a little bit more about Mercedes and how they did in the race. Kimi won, but George Russell DNF'd due to a battery problem in his car at lap 30, I think it was 30, 31, somewhere there. So now Kimi has a big lead on George Russell. It is 43 points. Even if George wins every race and Kimi gets P2, Kimi would lead after 6 wins. So Kimi can get P2 6 times in a row and still lead. So it is a very big lead. The start of the season. This was the 5th race, so a lot of things can still happen. Like Kimi can DNF and George can also DNF again due to crashing or due to engine problems or car problems. A lot of things can still happen, and maybe even like Charles Leclerc joins the battle or something. You never know what can happen. But I do still think that George has to kind of lock in at the moment. Because a 43-point lead is not easy to shoot down. And I can also say that Kimi has gotten 2 more records, at least 2 more records that are pretty prestigious, I would say. Kimi is the youngest person to ever win 4 races in a row now. That is pretty insane. Just that. And the next one is that he's the first person to win his first 4 wins in a row. This sentence has confused a few people, at least on Instagram. They think they mean that he's the first person to win 4 races in a row. That's not true. Max Verstappen has won 10 races in a row, but he's the first to win his first 4 wins in a row. But yeah, that was basically the talking point about Mercedes. So let's go to the McLaren gamble and McLaren. So McLaren didn't look very smart at the start of the race. It was kind of wet at the start of the race when they should have started. So intermediates was still a gamble, but it could have worked. They thought it was still going to rain. It didn't. And then there was 2 extra formation laps. So Arvid Lindblad had a gearbox issue with the car, so he couldn't start the race. And that is very dangerous. If the person behind doesn't realize that he's not moving, then he will just crash into Arvid Lindblad. I think it was that Arvid Lindblad waved to someone and they made a quick decision to have a formation lap again. If it is that way, that is very, very quick thinking and amazing work from the people involved. Just that sequence of events, if that is true, is very impressive from a safety standpoint. So after these 2 formation laps, the track was basically dry. So having intermediates then was not the best option. But then when this race started, they looked pretty smart, because at least Lando did, because he actually got the lead by lap 1. But everyone kind of knew that they had to pit soon. I think Oscar pitted first lap and Lando maybe a few laps later, because they knew that this is not going to hold up, but let's lead for a few laps here. And yeah, that was just the start of the McLaren gamble. So after the pit stop, it was just downhill from there. A few laps later, Oscar Piastri just went right into Alex Albon. So I don't think Piastri really anticipated him being there. He just tried to overtake the person to the left of him, but then Albon just was there. Unfortunately, got crashed into, and that was basically just Piastri's fault. You can't really argue against it. And Piastri also had to go into pits because he had to change wings and they also changed tires. So he crashed into Albon, had to pit. It was a very slow pit stop, like 14 seconds or something like that. And then he gets a 10-second penalty. So that was basically just the end of the race for him. I think he finished in like P11, which is pretty impressive after all that. And for Lando, it wasn't a good race either. Lando had a issue with the car and he had to DNF. So for McLaren, it was just a nightmare. I don't think they want to remember this at all. It started bad, it ended bad, and it was bad in the middle. So just a Sunday to forget for McLaren. Okay, and then I kind of wanted to talk a little bit quick about Lewis and Max. They ended P2 and P3. Lewis got P2 and Max got P3. So they both got a podium. I think that's great for the sport. It was an amazing podium to see on the podium ceremony. But I kind of wanted to talk about the fight, like Lewis' fight against Max in the end. It was about lap 50, where Lewis got on the radio and said, okay, let's get Max. And I just thought, okay, he is like 6 seconds ahead of you. Okay, I mean, let's go for it. So I was kind of skeptical about it, but I was like, okay, I mean, it's Lewis Hamilton. He has 7 championships, so why couldn't he do it? And then lap by lap, he got closer and closer. First, he has to gain 6 seconds in about 15 laps, and then he has to overtake Max. That is no easy task, but who can do it but a 7-time world champion? That is called Lewis Hamilton. So yeah, he actually overtook Max on lap 62, I have written down. And yeah, I just think that this is a great sign of Lewis still staying in the sport. He's still a fighter. I think that's amazing for the sport, and he seems very comfortable in the car. Great to see, and I want to see it more. Okay, and then we had some quite a lot of DNFs and DNSs. First, we had the DNS of Arvid Lindblad, as I talked about before. He had some gearbox issue. Kind of sad, because I think he qualified pretty good, so kind of sad to see, but it happens. Then we had Alex Albon. As I said, he got crashed into. What can you do? I guess a very unfortunate weekend for Alex Albon. And then we had Fernando Alonso. I don't really remember what the issue was, but something with the car. He didn't crash from what I know, and he was out on lap 23. And then we had George Russell at lap 29, and he had some kind of issue with the car also. Sounded like a gearbox issue. So yeah, a very big upset for George Russell there. He drove an amazing race, an amazing fight between Kimi. I would have loved to see more, and Kimi also said that it was unfortunate that it came to this, but I mean, what can you do? And I don't think that Kimi Antonelli is complaining about a 43-point lead. And then we had Lando Norris that was out on lap 38. And he had some kind of issue with the car. And the last DNF was Sergio Perez. He was out on lap 39. His right front wheel just kind of exploded. Like the axle just... I'm gonna show a clip here, probably on loop so you can see. But it was just so random and so aggressive. But yeah, it was just very weird. And that's a sign that the Cadillacs are like not ready to fight for points. Okay, so that was basically the talking points I wanted to bring up. So let's go to the prediction correction. Okay, so for the sprint top 5, I said Charles, Lando, Kimi, George, Oscar. I don't think I have any points. No points on the sprint quali. Okay, so let's go to the sprint top 5. I said Max, Charles, Kimi, Oscar, George. And then I had Kimi, that's a point. And then I said Oscar and then George, and I got George also, so 2 points. And then for the quali, I said Lewis, Charles, Lando, Kimi, George. Lewis, I actually got that, holy shit. Okay, right. Lando third, Yes, it's looking pretty good here. And then Kimmy and George also. What the fuck? Okay, I got 4 on that one. Holy shit, 4 out of 5 on the quali. So far I have 6 points. Yeah. Let's go to the race top 5. I have Max, Charles, Lando, Kimmy, and George. It was Isaac and then Charles, which I had correct. Don't have anything correct there other than Charles, so I have 7 points. Okay, so Fire and Dyer. First, Team Fire. I have Haas. I mean, they got points, and you know I like to make the most of it, so I'm going to give myself a point. And then I said Team Dyer, Mercedes. And I kind of would also give myself a point there, because I mean, result-wise, they were kind of dire. And then I said Driver Fire, George. I would also kind of say that, because when he was on track, he was fire. It was just unfortunate that he DNF'd. Like, he can't really do anything about that, and it wasn't his fault. Okay, and then I have Driver Dyer, Lance Stroll. Yes, I get a point, so 11 points, right? Did I get every single one on Fire and Dyer correct? This is a moment in history, holy shit. My predictions are out of 24 for this race, so the top 5 and the Fire and Dyer. So out of 24, but I'm still going to count the points from my friend, because that's how I roll, man. So he first said that Justin Bieber is going to be there. I didn't see Justin Bieber. I didn't see any celebrity, so I don't think I'm going to get the point there. And then he said Celine Dion is going to be there. Yeah, I didn't see Celine Dion. I did not see Celine Dion. And then the major is going to be there, like the major of the city, I guess. No, I did not see that. And then he said Max contact further lap, but no, I don't get a point there. And then he had 3 animals that he said was going to be there on track. First he said beaver. No, seagull. I remember a seagull, but I don't remember where, but I did see a seagull, so I'm going to give myself a point. And then he said a squirrel, and I don't think I saw a squirrel, but Absolute Cinema, I have 12 out of 24, man. That means I get another SPP. And some of you may say that I'm cheating. I'm just going to... So now I have 3 out of 5 SPPs. So I have more than half. I have the majority of the SPPs. Okay, so next race is Monaco. I think that could be quite interesting with the new regulations and new cars. Maybe we see some overtakes. But yeah, that is going to be interesting. I'm going to try to catch every single session, but I am pretty busy that week, because my birthday is on the Monday that week, and I'm going to celebrate it on the Saturday. I'm quite busy on the 5th, and then I think I'm free on the 7th. But yeah, anyway, with that said, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, comment, like, subscribe, share, and all that. And I will see you in the next video. Small incident. I have already recorded this video, but for some reason when I tried to, because I had some problem with OBS, it didn't pick up the audio, so I changed my audio input to default, thinking it was this mic, but it was my webcam mic, so I couldn't use the footage. So now I gotta record it again. And I'm not too happy about that. But yeah, it's gonna be fun. Still.